Hey, what's up, and welcome back to another episode of the Relationship School's Smart Couple Podcast. I'm your host, Jason Gaddis. Grateful to be here. We're in the midst of a 4-part or 5-part or 10-part, we'll see how long it goes, series on men. So this is for you men out there around your sexuality, your relationships, how to help you. Okay, and it's for other people that want to understand men, perhaps gay men, perhaps women, perhaps, moms and dads, understanding boys, whatever. Either way, thank you for listening. This podcast is about long-term partnership primarily, but it's all about how to improve all our relationships. How do we stay in relationship with people? How do we not run away when the going gets tough? When someone makes a mistake, and do you just leave because they made a mistake? Or do you stay in the fire and deal with your side of the equation and try to get the lesson for you? Okay, in the last 3 episodes, we talked about 3 types of men in partnership for men who have a closed or guarded heart, and then we talked about toxic masculinity and male sexuality. So we're just building off this, and I encourage you to go back and listen to those if you have not, okay? Awesome. So today's episode is about, and thanks for everybody leaving us reviews on iTunes. Please do that, okay? It's very helpful for us to hear from you. Is this serving you? And if so, tell us. We love to learn about that. For example, Marriage Warrior says, I'm a fan of Jason's podcast. I've just listened to the latest one for men who have a closed and guarded heart. Thank you. Your passion about the subject was obvious. I have a sense of relief that you seem to be turning towards supporting men and describing clearly what the issues are. Thank you. You feel like an ally. Your podcast has changed my life and my marriage. Nice. So hopefully that's helping, like Marriage Warrior. It's helping you. This is helping you. So leave us a review on iTunes if you can. It's a big favor. Thank you. So this episode is about the top 6 things women want from men. All right. I pulled, and I get this is very heteronormative language. Okay. I'm a heterosexual guy married to a woman. So these are a lot of the questions I get. And the top 6 things women want from men. Advice from over 200 women. I pulled my social media channels and women chimed in from all over the world saying, hey, here's what I want. And so I just pulled out the common themes. I just mined the common themes. And we're just going to go through that real quick. Okay. So man, if you're listening, I think this is just, it's just information. All right. If you're already on the defensive, yeah, but what do women want? Or what do I want? How about what I want? How about talking about me for once? Okay. I hear you. That's coming. And relax. This is feedback. Like I'm always open to feedback from my wife. Honey, how could I improve? Honey, what could I be doing differently? Honey, you got any feedback for me? Bring it on. Okay, if you're insecure and you have a big wound around feeling criticized, you're not going to want feedback from your wife because you feel like you get it all the time, right? But that's your issue to work through. Okay, the fact that you have a sensitive button there around criticism. I encourage you to get stronger there so that you can continue to be receptive to how you can be an even more awesome human being. Okay, so this really transcends gender at a certain point. If we listen to this, it's just, you could just take off the gender labels and just be like, oh, yeah, this is good for anybody. And I think it's going to be interesting to compare and contrast the women versus men thing if we're talking about polarities. Okay, the first thing, the most popular answer was, I want your willingness, men. So women want your willingness. Who doesn't want a partner who's willing? But this was by far the loudest. All right. I want your willingness to grow and face yourself. These are some of the responses. Your willingness to fight with me, your willingness to listen deeply to me, willingness to open your heart and be emotionally available, willingness to share your own vulnerability, willingness to repair after we're disconnected, own your part, ask for help, etc. Teresa says, willingness and initiative to be vulnerable with someone other than just me. My partner's wonderful, but I want to be the entirety of his emotional support system. Oh, I don't want to be. Yeah. I talked about that with Trip Linear in a recent podcast that he did on his episode or his podcast called The New Man. Women also used phrases like, show up. Hey, come on. Be into growth. Like face yourself. So guys, women want our willingness. And I would agree that anyone in a growing and evolving partnership wants their partner to be willing. Will you come to the table and meet me halfway? Will you pick up the paddle and row in this boat with me? Will you do the work with me? Okay. All right, number 2. Second most popular answer. I want you to be emotionally available, open, and vulnerable. Oh yeah. Again, who doesn't want that? This is the elixir of a great relationship, is a heart connection. Vulnerability. It doesn't have to be vulnerable and gushy all the time, of course not. But you have the capacity to be vulnerable, right? I was a guy who was jammed up for a long, long time. And man, when I first cried, it felt so scary, but it felt so good, at age 29, when I first entered therapy. So guys, to me, it goes without saying that you've got to work on your heart and getting that wall to come down at least some of the time. And women with a closed heart, you also. Okay, the depth of your intimacy is dictated by really how heart connected you can be with each other and yourselves. So, Bhatia said, an emotionally present and supportive man. That's what she wanted, right? Very simple. Yeah. So when you keep saying, I'm fine, you're eroding the trust in the relationship if you're not fine. And most of the time you're not. That's kind of the lie that you constantly tell yourself and others is, yeah, everything's great, I'm fine. But meanwhile, you're stressed about money, you're stressed about relationship, you're stressed about sex, you're stressed about, just say you're stressed. I'm stressed. I'm not sure how to work with it. Okay, that's like willing. Thank you. And try not to fault your guy for being emotionally unavailable. Try not to shame him or make him wrong. Again, as we've talked about in the past 3 episodes, if you understood these close-hearted men and why it got set up this way, then you would have, a lot of space. Doesn't mean you have to stay with the guy. I'd be impatient too if he doesn't do the work and try to open it. So I hear you. And at least have the understanding. Okay. The third most popular answer that women want from a man in partnership. I want your presence. This is huge. I want your presence. This is a big one for me in my relationship and was a game changer as I started to learn to meditate. And wow, I didn't understand what being present meant until I really got into a good relationship. And then it was like, oh, okay. So a lot of us, we're all very distracted now, looking at phones and screens and super busy. That makes it hard to be present with another person and look into their eyes and just say, hi, I'm here. Wow. What does it feel like to be with you right now? That's a great presence practice, by the way. Right? So Carrie says, I want physical, emotional, and sexual presence. Boom. Yeah. Again, if you want a killer relationship like stellar, who wouldn't want that? Okay, if you want just a relationship, it's okay. You two can coexist and be checked out. That is a relationship, believe it or not, but it's not a great one. All right. And we're not talking about presence, meaning be still and look into her eyes and just hold still and try to breathe. It's carrying it like when you're present, you just are intuitively interested in the other person. Even when you're upset and triggered, if you can get present with your experience, there's a lot that moves through. Back to the number 2 thing, vulnerability. That helps you actually access your heart. The more you can get present with your pain, for example, that will help you get present. Okay. But man, this is it really shows up in the bedroom. For years I didn't know how to be present really, and so the bedroom was this kind of, I was in my head trying to, my top head here, trying to figure it out. How do I please her? What do I do? Am I doing it right? And then getting triggered when something negative would happen. I didn't know it was triggered. I just thought, I just would change the channel and go grab a beer kind of thing. So I've learned though that my presence is everything around my sexuality. It's enormous. So consider that. We just did a free webinar for guys, and that was a big thing we talked about. Okay, the 4th thing women want, she says, I want your honesty. Okay, I was surprised at how many times this one came up, which told me it kind of had me curious, like, where's this coming from? I wish I could have interviewed every single one of you women who answered this. Is it like, whoa, have you been burned by a man, your father, your brother, a guy you dated? He was dishonest. Is that where this is coming from? Because I just assume this is a given sometimes. Like, yeah, of course my wife's going to be honest with me, and we're just honest with each other. We don't even question that. But we're in a really solid, secure partnership. So if you're dating and have been burned before, cheating, affairs, whatever else, where I said I texted you and I didn't, or I was texting someone else that you're, friends with at work of the opposite gender, and you're running energy with someone else. Like, I think this is a good one for all of us. I want your honesty. And men, the subtler layer of this is when you say you're fine and you're not fine, that's being dishonest. So just tell the truth about yourself. I'm struggling. I'm shut down. I feel insecure. Okay, these are all things I still experience to this day and probably will for the rest of my life. Big deal. Just talk about it, right? And if you have a block, go hire a coach or someone to work through that. All right. Honesty. Number 5, the 5th thing women want from men, I want to feel safe. This was huge, right? Of course. Shelley says emotional safety, reliability, and super hot sex. Well, Shelley's talking about emotional safety leads to super hot sex. Unless you've just met the person, you don't need it to be safe. And it's a hot, steamy one-night stand. Yeah, you can have that. But in a marriage, you're unlikely to have that unless you have the emotional safety consistently over time. All right? Then you can do all kinds of things. It opens up big doors. So in the relationship school, we talk a lot about emotional safety being one of the cornerstones of the foundation of a partnership. Emotional, and it goes without saying, physical safety. But emotional safety is a big one. If you don't feel emotionally safe for whatever reason, that is a major problem. Deal with it, right? So we can teach you how to do that here at the relationship school. We talk about that over and over. It's actually a need you have, believe it or not. Okay, and the 6th thing is I want you to be self-aware. This is, now I have a biased audience, right? If I was on a completely different website, Starbucks website, and I said, hey, women, what do you want in a man? I might not have gotten these types of responses. So I understand the bias here that a lot of the people that follow me and read my blog posts, etc., and listen to this podcast, are into growth and development. A lot of you women. So you're going to say things like, I want you to be self-aware. Another woman who doesn't value that might not say that. She might just say, like, I want you to be kind, right? That was on the list many times as well, by the way. So I want you to be self-aware. This is, to me, an integrated man, or what I'm calling a multidimensional man, is someone who can be self-aware and can look in the mirror and self-reflect, right? These are very empowered men, oftentimes. Now, sure, there's lots of self-aware men who are just as predatory and mean as other people, but at least, the very least, with self-awareness, you can change your life. You can change it from the inside out, and it can be attractive to others. I think it's really enormous. To be self-aware. I couldn't be doing remotely what I'm doing in my life with my family or my work if I wasn't self-aware, right? Prior to self-awareness, I was externally referenced and I was pointing the finger outside myself for my problems. So self-aware is huge, right? Yeah. So those are the top 6. There was many, many more. But I just want you to consider those, chew on those, okay? If you want to read the blog post, just go to relationshipschool.com. The blog is there. We'll include it in the show notes. This was shared widely on the Elephant Journal page. Thanks, Waylon and Elephant Journal people. So this somehow resonates with people, right? We like to be reminded of what another person wants in a partnership. It's helpful, right? All right, in a couple episodes, we'll be doing this with men also. So we'll flip the roles here in terms of the polarity. Okay, and then again, just notice which ones are true for you. Here's your action step. What are your top 5 to 10 things? Actually, 10's too many. Let's go with top 5 things, okay? Top 5 things you want and need in a intimate partner. Just write them down right now. Write them down. You could build off these, right? Because some people say, I want them to caress me softly and, touch my hair in a certain way. And those are all subtler points. Those are finer points. So you could do sub-bullet points if you want. I'm just talking about the big ones, right? If you're dating someone right now, what is it that you're wanting from this person? Just the top 5. Okay, write those down. It should take you 5 minutes. And then here's your second part. I always like to do this, which is share it with someone. Share it with the person you're dating. Share it with a friend if you're a little scared to share that with someone you're dating. Share it with a friend, someone close to you, and have them share and exchange notes. Share notes. Be like, interesting. How come you listed that? Well, why didn't you list this? I had this. I think it's so important. Why it's not even on your list? All right, so write that down. All right, and share. Cool. Okay, everybody, we got some fun stuff coming up as we get through spring here in Boulder, Colorado. We're putting our garden in, my kids and I, my wife, getting some landscaping going. I love being outside. I don't know about you. All right, stay tuned for more. Again, subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. Leave us a review if you're on Stitcher. Either way, subscribe. Okay? And we'll see you in the next episode for men. And then we'll be coming back to normal podcasting soon. Hey, thanks so much for listening. Relationship School fans and Smart Couple listeners, please subscribe to this YouTube channel, all right? Do us a favor, subscribe, share one of these videos with a friend, all right? We want to help the planet get their act together around relationships, and you are one of them, so thank you.